protected a person's property and the fruits of their labor. The ninth, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Upheld the importance of truth and justice, ensuring that reputations and lives were not destroyed by lies. And finally, the 10th commandment, you shall not covet, went deeper than the others. It addressed the root of many sins, the feeling of envy and wrongful desire for what belongs to others. By following these simple but profound rules, the Israelites could create a society where everyone was valued, protected, and treated with fairness. For the Israelites wandering in the desert, these 10 rules were a lifeline. They transformed a disorganized group of refugees into a cohesive nation with a shared moral purpose. The commandments provided a clear path forward, reducing conflict and fostering cooperation. When people knew that they could not be murdered, stolen from, or lied about without consequence, they could begin to trust one another. The rules protected the family unit, ensured justice, and even guaranteed a day of rest for all. They were the building blocks of civilization, a simple yet powerful blueprint for how to live together in a way that was fair, just, and peaceful, allowing them to survive the wilderness and build a future. But the story of the 10 Commandments did not end in the desert. Their influence has rippled through the ages, shaping the moral and legal codes of countless cultures and nations far beyond the ancient Israelites. These principles are not confined to a single religion. They speak to universal human values. The ideas of honoring one's parents, valuing human life, being faithful in relationships, and respecting the property of others are cornerstones of stable societies everywhere. Legal systems around the globe have been built upon the foundations laid by these ancient rules. particularly the prohibitions against murder, theft, and perjury. Even in our modern, complex, and largely secular world, the echo of these commandments can be heard. They challenge us to think about our own lives and our own societies. Are we honest? Do we respect the lives and property of others? Do we value truth and integrity? While our world is vastly different from the ancient desert, the fundamental human need for a moral compass remains the same. These rules remind us that freedom is not simply the ability to do whatever we want. It is the responsibility to live in a way that respects the freedom and dignity of everyone else around us. Ultimately, the Ten Commandments endure because they address the core of what it means to be human and live in a community. They are more than just ancient laws. They are a timeless guide to building a better world. They call us to a higher standard of behavior, encouraging empathy, justice, and respect. They teach us that a society is only as strong as the moral character of its people. From a message delivered on a remote mountain thousands of years ago to the moral debates of today, the Ten Commandments continue to serve as a powerful reminder of the simple, profound principles that can guide humanity towards a more just and compassionate existence. Imagine a vast desert. The sun beats down relentlessly. All you can see for miles is sand, rock, and the endless blue sky. Now imagine a nation of people wandering through this wilderness. These are the Israelites. They have just escaped a life of slavery in Egypt, a life of hardship and toil where every decision was made for them. They are free, but freedom can be a bewildering, chaotic thing. They are a multitude of souls, a sprawling family with no laws, no structure, and no clear direction to guide them. They needed more than just a destination. They needed a way to live together, a framework to build a community upon. Without rules, arguments could fester into feuds, and disagreements could shatter their fragile unity. The man leading them was Moses. He was their guide, their prophet, their connection to the divine. He saw the arguments and the confusion. He understood that for this fledgling nation to survive the harsh desert and become a strong, cohesive society, they needed a common set of principles. They needed a moral compass to guide their actions, to teach them how to treat one another with respect, and how to honor the God who had delivered them from bondage. This was not about control, but about creation. It was about forging a new identity from the ashes of their past suffering, building a nation founded on justice, compassion, and a shared understanding of right and wrong. So at the foot of a great and imposing mountain, a place called Sinai, the people gathered. The air was thick with anticipation and a touch of fear. This was a pivotal moment in their journey. They were on the cusp of receiving something that would define them for all time. They were no longer just a crowd of escaped slaves. They were about to become a people with a purpose, bound by a sacred covenant. To Moses, their trusted leader, to ascend the mountain and speak with God, to bring back the wisdom they so desperately needed to navigate their new lives and build a future worthy of their newfound freedom. This journey for rules was essential for their very survival. Think about any society, any town, or even any family. Rules provide safety and predictability. They create an environment where people can trust one another, where they know what is expected of them, and where conflicts can be resolved fairly. For the Israelites, lost in the vastness of the desert, such a foundation was not a luxury. It was a necessity. They needed to learn how to live not just with each other, but for each other. The stage was set for a divine intervention that would provide the very blueprint for their community, a set of instructions that would echo through millennia. Moses began his ascent. He left the bustling camp behind and started the long, arduous climb up the rugged slopes of Mount Sinai. The journey was a solitary one. A pilgrimage that separated him from the world of men and prepared him for an encounter with the divine. With each step, the sounds of the camp faded, replaced by the whisper of the wind and the crunch of rock beneath his feet. He was climbing towards the heavens, leaving the earthly concerns of his people below, to receive a message that would shape their destiny. The mountain itself seemed to be alive, a formidable peak shrouded in mystery and power, a gateway between the mortal and the eternal. As Moses climbed higher, the atmosphere began to change. The sky darkened, and thick, heavy clouds enveloped the summit of the mountain. Flashes of lightning tore through the gloom, and the deep, resonant rumble of thunder echoed across the valleys, a sound so powerful it seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth. For the Israelites waiting below, it was a terrifying and awe-inspiring spectacle. They watched as the mountain appeared to be on fire, smoke billowing from its peak like a great furnace. This was a clear and undeniable sign that they were in the presence of something immensely powerful, something far beyond their comprehension. Moses, alone amidst this celestial storm, was not afraid. He walked into the heart of the cloud, into the center of the fire and the thunder. He was in a sacred space, a place where the veil between worlds was thin. Here on this hallowed ground, he would commune with God. He would not just hear words, he would receive the very essence of a new way of life. For 40 days and 40 nights, he remained on the mountain, separated from his people, engaged in a divine dialogue that would result in a gift of immeasurable value. The world below waited, unaware of the profound transformation that was taking place above. During this time, God inscribed the divine laws onto 2 tablets of stone. These were not mere suggestions or pieces of advice. They were commandments, foundational principles etched in rock, symbolizing their permanence and enduring importance. This was a direct communication, a set of rules given not by a human king, but by the creator of the universe. The stone tablets were a physical manifestation of a sacred promise, a covenant between God and the Israelites. When Moses finally began his descent, he carried with him not just stone, but the moral architecture for the 10 Commandments. When Moses returned to his people, his face radiant from his encounter with the divine, he carried the 2 stone tablets. He gathered the Israelites and presented to them the laws they were to live by. They were not complicated legal texts, but 10 clear, direct principles that everyone could understand. They were divided into 2 main ideas. The first set of rules was about their relationship with God, the one who had freed them and guided them. The second set was about their relationships with each other, providing a moral framework for building a just and compassionate community. These commandments were the foundation upon which their new society would be built. The first 4 commandments established their spiritual life. First, you shall have no other gods before me. This taught them to focus their worship on the one God who had saved them. Second, you shall not make for yourself an idol. This was a reminder not to worship physical objects, but the unseen spirit. Third, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. This was a call to speak of God with reverence and respect. Fourth, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. This gave them a day of rest, a revolutionary concept that ensured everyone, even servants and animals, had time to recover and reflect. The next 6 commandments were practical rules for living together peacefully. The fifth commandment, honor your father and your mother, established the family as the core unit of society, built on respect for elders. The sixth, you shall not murder, protected the sacredness of human life itself. The seventh, shall not adultery, safeguarded the bonds of marriage and family trust. These rules were direct and unambiguous, creating clear boundaries for behavior. They were designed to prevent the kinds of actions that tear communities apart from the inside, fostering an environment of safety and stability for everyone. The final 3 commandments addressed actions and even thoughts that could harm the community. The 8th, you shall not steal, protected a person's property and the fruits of their labor. The 9th, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, upheld the importance of truth and ensuring that reputations and lives were not destroyed by lies. And finally, the 10th commandment, "You shall not covet," went deeper than the others. It addressed the root of many sins, the feeling of envy and wrongful desire for what belongs to others. By following these simple but profound rules, the Israelites could create a society where everyone was valued, protected, and treated with fairness. For the Israelites wandering in the desert, these 10 rules were a lifeline. They transformed a disorganized group of refugees into a cohesive nation with shared moral purpose. The commandments provided a clear path forward, reducing conflict, fostering cooperation. When people knew they could not be murdered, stolen from, or lied about without consequence, they could begin to trust one another. The rules protected the family unit, ensured justice, and even guaranteed a day of rest for all. They were the building blocks of civilization, a simple yet powerful blueprint for how to live together in a way that was fair, just, and peaceful, allowing them to survive the wilderness and build a future. But the story of the 10 Commandments did not end in the desert. Their influence has rippled through the age, shaping the moral and legal codes of countless cultures and nations, far beyond the ancient Israelites. These principles are not confined to a single religion. They speak to universal human values. The ideas of honoring one's parents, valuing human life, being faithful in relationships, and respecting the property of others are cornerstones of stable societies everywhere. Legal systems around the globe have been built upon the foundations laid by these ancient rules, particularly the prohibitions against murder, theft, and perjury. Even in our modern, complex, and largely secular world, the echo of these commandments can be heard. They challenge us to think about our own lives and our own societies. Are we honest? Do we respect the lives and property of others? Do we value truth and integrity? While our world is vastly different from the ancient desert, the fundamental human need for a moral compass remains the same. These rules remind us freedom is not simply the ability to do whatever we want. It is the responsibility to live in a way that respects the freedom and dignity of everyone else around us. Ultimately, the 10 Commandments endure because they address the core of what it means to be human and live in a